Attention to all vessels. Attention to all vessels in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. This is a warning from the CEPA Navy. Crossing the Strait of Hormuz is only permitted with authorization from the CEPA Navy and along designated routes. If any vessel attempts to cross the strait without our permission, with the AIS turned off or outside the designated routes, it will be held responsible for any consequences of any danger. This is the CEPA Navy signing off.
Trump prepares to retaliate as Iran attacks a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. A cargo ship identified as Ever Lovely, flying the flag of Singapore, was hit near the coast of Oman in an area vital to global energy trade. American authorities attributed the attack to Iran, while the British Maritime Agency reported that the vessel suffered damage in the bridge area, with no reported deaths and no environmental impact. The attack came on the same day that the IRGC Navy began warning ships over VHF radio that passage should only occur with permission and along routes approved by Tehran. Trump now appears at the center of the response, with the United States Central Command showing F-16 fighter jets on patrol. And Marco Rubio is taking a tougher stance against any attempt at tolls, fees, or Iranian control over international waters.
You used to call them theocratic fanatics. Do you still think that defines today's leadership?
Well, look, it's not that I believe that, it's a fact. I mean, the Iranian system is led by clerics, radical clerics. That's how it's always been led, and that's how it continues to be led. That said, we also need to manage the geopolitics of the situation. And then there's one more thing. If they've changed their mindset, or if they've changed their approach toward the United States and their neighbors, so let's give this a chance to work. Maybe that's changed. I'm not saying it has changed. I'm saying the president wants to explore if that's the case, and if it is, we'll find out. But we won't find out because of what they say. We'll find out because of what they do.
What is Trump gonna do now? Why did Tehran risk hitting a ship? I'll tell you all about that in a moment. If you like this kind of straightforward and no-nonsense content, consider subscribing because we have videos like this every day. The Ever Lovely ship was hit while trying to cross one of the most sensitive regions on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and handles a crucial share of oil and gas flows that supplies several nations. That's why every shot, every threat over the radio, every blocked route provokes an immediate reaction in the markets, navies, and foreign ministries. The attack reported this Thursday did not happen in a vacuum. It came after weeks of war, blockades, memoranda, negotiations, and conflicting signals between Washington and Tehran. The IRGC tried to impose a simple and dangerous logic. A ship can only pass if it follows the route accepted by Iran. The order was transmitted by radio, directly to the vessels. In practice, the regime is trying to create a parallel authority over an international passage. That's when the crisis stops being just a diplomatic discussion and becomes a test of strength. If the world accepts this rule, Tehran gains power over cargo ships, oil tankers, insurers, ports, and prices. If Washington reacts, the risk of military conflict increases. The American response began in 2014 on two fronts. On the military front, CENTCOM reported F-16 fighter jets on patrol in the Middle East. With the message that US forces remain present and vigilant on the political front, Rubio brought the issue to Gulf allies and made it clear that no nation has the right to charge for the use of international waters. The imposition of fees by Tehran has become one of the red lines of the crisis, especially after reports emerged that Iran could seek up to $40 billion a year with security, navigation, and control services in the Strait of Hormuz. The Gulf Cooperation Council took the same stance. At a meeting in Manama, Bahrain, ministers from Gulf nations and the United States demanded that any lasting peace also address ballistic missiles, drones, and allied groups funded or supported by Tehran. The message was strong because it wasn't limited to the nuclear issue. The Arab nations want the agreement to address the whole problem. Iran doesn't exert pressure only with centrifuges. Iran exerts pressure with militias, rockets, drones, ports, maritime corridors, and energy blackmail. Rubio also targeted the money. The concern in Washington and among allies is that any financial relief could become fuel for proxies, missiles, and new threats. That's why American officials started saying that frozen Iranian funds would not go directly to the government in Tehran. The idea presented is to keep controls over the use of the money, with limited and monitored payments. The sensitive point is simple. Releasing funds without restrictions could ease the regime's finances and create room for more indirect military action in the region. Tehran reacted both internally and externally. Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf, one of the central figures of the regime and involved in the negotiations, accused the United States of lying when they said that unfrozen Iranian assets would be used to buy American agricultural products. The statement exposed the narrative dispute. Washington is trying to present the release as a controlled mechanism, without direct transfer to the regime. Tehran is trying to present the agreement as its own victory and rejects the idea that it accepted money earmarked by the Americans. This dispute also revealed internal cracks within the regime. In the circulating news, Khalibaf has been accused by hardline factions of moving forward with negotiations and ceasefire decisions that are out of line with directives attributed to the supreme leader. The dispute matters because Iran tries to appear united, but negotiations with Trump affect power, money, ideological pride, and military control. When the regime is divided, external pressure becomes stronger. When the regime feels cornered, it tries to compensate with aggressive gestures, such as threats at sea. While Hormuz is boiling, southern Lebanon has also become the center of the crisis. The IDF stated that it eliminated 6 Hezbollah members who posed threats to Israeli soldiers. Part of the operation took place in the Ali al-Altare Ridge region, where Israel is maintaining pressure on an underground network linked to the terrorist group. The IDF also indicated that it will not allow Hezbollah members to leave that structure to operate in the area. This keeps the Lebanese front open and prevents Iran from using Hezbollah as a free piece to pressure Israel and disrupt the larger agreement. Local reports also pointed to Israeli jets flying low over southern Lebanon, increasing the sense of alert in the region. Israel's message is that the ceasefire will not be used as a shield for Hezbollah's reorganization. Netanyahu reinforced this tone by saying that there are still tasks to be accomplished against Iran and against Hamas.
Tasks remain to be completed. Yes, there are still things to do regarding Iran. There are still things to do regarding Hamas, although they don't have much ability to act. They know that a few weeks ago, under my guidance, the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Staff, we eliminated one of the architects of the massacre. In fact, the Hamas commander, Azal al-Din al-Haddad. And do you know what Hamas's response was? What was Hamas's response? 0. Nothing. No bullets, no rockets, nothing. Because we did a lot. But there is still work to do, both regarding Hamas, Hezbollah, and the drones. We are working on it with all our strength, with all our energy.
He tries to make it clear that Israel does not see the war as over while Tehran's armed branches remain active and while Hamas remains a threat in Gaza. The problem for Trump is that each front is connected to the other. If Israel puts pressure on Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran uses Hormuz as a response. If Iran threatens ships, the United States increases patrols and diplomatic pressure. If Washington releases resources with restrictions, Tehran accuses them of lying and tries to sell the measure as a victory. If the Gulf demands control over missiles and proxies, Tehran's allies move in the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and Bab al-Mandeb. The crisis has become one big chessboard, with several corridors and many triggers. The Houthis have also entered the picture. Abdul Malik al-Houthi once again threatened retaliation against any Israeli presence in Somaliland, citing the Gulf of Aden, Bab al-Mandeb, and the Red Sea. The threat shows how the Iran-linked Axis is trying to spread maritime pressure beyond Hormuz. The assessment circulating about a rapprochement between Russia, Iran, and Yemen fits into this context. It's not just about a ship being hit, but an attempt to surround strategic trade routes from different points. Reza Pahlavi, an opponent of the Iranian regime in exile, also joined the debate by commenting that each new post by Trump changes headlines and political interpretation about Iran.
A very high price. President Trump started this war by making big promises about regime change and big promises to the Iranian people. Are you disappointed with the way he ended this?
Well, I don't know if it's over yet. Yes, because as you know, every few hours we have a different tweet coming from this president, and suddenly the headline changes from one thing to another. So I'm not giving much importance to any statement that has been made. And actually, I was, just following a bit of what was happening live in Evian.
The statement carries weight because it shows the anxiety of those who want to see the regime fall. But he also understands that every statement from Trump moves the government, the opposition, the market, and allies. For this group, the danger is that an agreement might ease the pressure without dismantling the regime's structure. For Trump, the challenge is to extract concessions without handing Tehran a financial and military victory. The memorandum between the United States and Iran established a window. 60 days for safe passage. The United States and Iran provided for a window. The memorandum. The attack on Ever Lovely therefore strikes directly at the heart of this arrangement. If Tehran allows or carries out actions against ships during the security window, trust collapses. If Washington does not respond, American authority weakens. If it responds too much, the truce may collapse. It is in this narrow space that Trump prepares his response, with patrols, diplomatic threats, financial pressure, and demands for Gulf allies to stay at the table. Hormuz has become the visible line of a bigger dispute. On the side, Trump tries to maintain pressure without handing the maritime corridor over to Tehran. On the other side, the Iranian regime tries to use ships, proxies, and frozen money to gain an advantage. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, take a look at the comments. That way, you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.